Hello, everyone. How is it going this evening? We are live here on Comics with Bueller on a nice, hot summer Dallas night. I'm in Dallas, Texas, just sitting in the parking lot at Cracker Barrel, and we are here to talk about original artwork and the things you need to know about artwork and what to look for, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Now, I am not an expert on this by any means, but I have a friend who's been in the business for quite some time, and he is an expert on this among many other things. So let's bring him to the stream here. Nick, how you doing today?
Good. Hello, Bueller, and hello, Buellerites.
There you go. If you guys don't know, Nick is the owner of Dynamite Entertainment. Some books you might have heard of, Red Sonja, Vampirella, the new ones with Darkwing Duck is in there now. We got, what's the other one? Gargoyles. A bunch of really cool stuff. And Nick does a show on Fridays called the Original Art Experience, correct?
Yep.
And every Friday, he shows off original art that he's collected, and he sells some of the artwork, and he shows a bunch of the artwork. And a few weeks ago, he had a bunch of the artwork for sale for the original, or the issue 7 of Spider-Man, which had Spider-Boy on there, which I believe almost every page sold, or did every page sell?
19 pages sold during the show,
Wow.
and then the last page sold basically Saturday night, where one of the guys, Paul Pappas, who bought the double page spread, asked me if anybody else had picked it up, and I had told him the truth. I had a few nibbles, but no one has confirmed yet. And he asked me, he said he would come back to me on Sunday, and then on Sunday he said, "Can you give me till Monday?" And I said, I said, "Paul, I have no problem giving you till Monday, and if nobody else wants it and you say yes on Monday, it's yours. If nobody else wants it and you say no on Monday, no harm, no foul. But if somebody says yes between now and Monday, I have to sell it to them." So he came back and said, "You know what? The only art you regret in life is the art you don't buy, not the art you sell, not the art you buy. It's the art you don't buy that you regret." So,
well, Nick, I want to give you the floor for a second. I want you to talk about your show and what you do on Fridays and some of the work that you have for sale. But I have some questions about original art. Like I said, I'm a newbie to this. I know a lot of people out there are asking about it because it's kind of catching on really hot right now.
yeah.
And it's a really good investment because I know prices are really jumping compared to what they were a few years ago to what it's worth now. There's a big difference. But why don't I give you the floor for a few minutes, and I'll come back to you and kind of have some questions for you. But let us know what goes on Fridays.
So on Friday, we have the Original Art Experience, and it is a show where we showcase and sell artwork. There have been some shows where we don't sell anything, where we just talk about art, have a good time, have an interaction, and just make it fun. The original art community is a fantastic community, and I love it. It's a great part of the comics industry. And the thing about original art, during COVID, comic books, trading cards, all collectibles shot up in value. You know, they just exploded. Everything exploded. And what was interesting was comics were outpacing original art as in far as how it was exploding. And I think what happened was as we all know, somewhere around March, April of last year, when the government stopped giving away free money, we started seeing comic prices come back down. I mean, you've got some books where the prices have come down 80%. I mean, the adjustment has been a little bit harsh. The interesting thing with original art is that original art has maintained its value because everyone is one of a kind. There are plenty of CGC graded giant size X-Men annual number 1 9.8s. You know, you can always get one. You can literally always get one if you have the money. So, I mean, that jumped up to like $67,000 in one auction, but now they're under $30,000, which still higher than pre-pandemic. I think pre-pandemic they were going for 10 to 12 for a 9.8. So, but a lot of people bought on the high end. The other interesting thing that happened is that there were people that had giant, and I know this for a fact, talking to people, had, say, giant size X-Men #1 9.8, and they didn't want to sell them because they thought the price would keep going up.
Yeah.
But eventually it hit a ceiling and everything came back down. A lot of stuff. Look, Ultimate Fallout #4 is only now lifting back up because it was really high, fell, and it's been falling steadily, but now it's lifting back up. It's a great book, great character, great movie. So it has everything going on for it. So, but in regards to original art, what I try and do every week, and I don't do it every week, but what I try and do often, I should say, is bring artwork under $200 and under $100. Because what I want to do is grow the original art community. I want the community to grow. I want the fan base to grow. I want the appreciation for art to grow. So, for example, while we will have Spider-Man 26 with, spoiler, it's been a week, the death of Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel. And if you didn't know this, sorry to be the spoiler. All these pages right here, these 6 pages, and let me pull them. We've got Brett Booth Flash, a little bit more Brett Booth Flash, more Brett Booth Flash, and then one of my other favorite artists, Ron Garney. I've got 3 different Ron Garney pages: Ghost Rider, Weapon X, pure Ron Garney pencils, and JLA. All 6 of these pages will be under $199, and some of them will be under $100, because I'd like to get some new collectors buying art. And the best way to do it, all these pages are $300 to $500. I happen to buy them. I'm writing my own, what was that? My own realistic comic book. Oh, nice, Day. I bought them when they were less expensive, so I'm going to offer them at a very affordable price.
Nice. Now, I have your guys' channel. The link is up. It's pinned on the chat. So if anyone wants to check out the experience, we had that on the screen here a minute ago. But you can also
please subscribe. Please subscribe. And by the way, while you're here, hit that thumbs up.
There you go. It does. I think it helps. But so here's what I want to do. I have some questions, and maybe you could use some of the artwork you have there as examples to some of my questions I have for you, because this is all new to me. I have some friends that collect original art. They've spent thousands of dollars on it. They're really into it. I myself don't have any original art, but I do have questions about it. So let me go ahead and start right now. The first thing I'd like to know, how do you store original art once you have it? I mean, what's the storage process? I mean, I know you have them right there. They're kind of loose and they're out, but is there a way to store it the right way so it keeps a long time?
You can use basically MyLight archival storage to put them in. Most people put them in God, I'm about to use the word binders. Oh God, I can't even think of what they're called. But original art binders.
Portfolios?
Portfolios, thank you.
Yeah.
Most people use original art portfolios. The artwork is new, so you worry less about everything. But like this Thor page from Thor 200, I have it in a MyLight because it's older, because it's far older. So I want to make sure that this stays in great condition. Now, this I'll be putting up. I did a trade for that. I got it in a deal, I should say. And this sold on Heritage for like $1,600. I'm going to put it under $1,500 because I got a little bit of a better deal. And I figure pay it forward, let somebody else have a chance to get it at a good price. So yeah, as far as storage, I mean, if you can afford it or if you have something old or valuable, I would say definitely use the archival MyLights. That's the way to go.
Okay. Now, what about the condition of the artwork? Now, this is obviously a piece of artwork that's sitting on the table. They're drawing on it. There's mistakes done. There's erase marks, all sorts of things. So as far as like, they don't really grade artwork, do they? Or does it matter,
No,
that type of thing?
no. I mean, look, if a piece of artwork is dinged or water damaged, people are disappointed. But see, you got your guy disappointed. Uh, he agrees if it's ding or water damage or anything. But no, I mean it's a one of a kind. The grade. I'm not saying it doesn't matter. Nobody wants bent artwork, but it's a little bit. If it's not severe, it's less of a consideration.
Nice. Now, see, I didn't know that fact at all. I didn't know if there was some kind of grading and quality of the artwork. So that's good to know. And apparently, my dog. This is something I've never had to deal with before. The cat don't make any noise. The dogs do. Hey, stop it. Okay, let me ask you this: is the when you're looking at an original piece of artwork, is there art just the pencil and then ink, or with color, or is there three different variations? The original, then ink, then colored. What are you looking for?
The majority of artwork is pencil and ink on one page. So almost, with the exception of the one page here by Ron Garney where it was pure pencils, there are no inks. The majority of original art is pencils and inks, and then art from 20 years ago or longer. Anything in Nick's collection he never wants to sell. I'll answer that in a little bit. But there's art with lettering, which old people like me find that cool to have the lettering still on it. By the way, this page is over 30 years old, and I'll probably have it under $100 on Friday. Definitely under 200, but possibly under 100. So between $3 and $6 a year, more or less.
What's that page from?
Oh, Night Stalkers. This is Ron Garney, and I think the inker was Tom Palmer.
Oh, nice. That's pretty cool. Now, I know that you've been in the business a long time. Me and you have talked about this on the phone and stuff like that. Is there any, because you know the artists and their stories connected to all this stuff. Is there any fakes out there that you have to worry about?
Unfortunately, there have been, especially sketches on eBay. It's a shame that people will do it. You have to be careful. If you're an art collector, you can still be fooled. You don't have to even be an expert. You can be an art collector and you can be fooled. So yeah, you have to keep an eye out. Usually on sequential pages, not so. It's rare. I've hardly ever heard of any stories. But when it comes to sketches, commissions, you have to be leery. Original art commissions. There are original art commissions. And look, when you can afford it, I would go straight to the artist or at least buy from somebody reputable. But I didn't finish your one question, though. So most of the art predominantly is pencils and inks. There are situations like Ron Garney with pure pencils, and then it's digital inked on the computer. There's also what's called blue line. So let's say there's an artist in Italy or in South America, and the inkers in the United States. Instead of all the artwork being FedEx from one country to another, and sometimes even instead of the artwork being sent FedEx from an artist in the U.S. to an inker in the U.S., the artist will send the file digitally. The inker will print it out and then will ink what's called the blue lines, because it's the pencils in blue line printed out so that it can be inked. Matter of fact, I actually have a blue line pencils that I could show. Hold on. I do have one.
And there he goes. I feel like I'm at that one comic shop where the guy kept walking away.
So this is blue line pencils where the inker printed this out and then inked over it. You can hardly tell the difference. But the inkers are always straightforward, and they'll put the initials BL in on the art so that people know it's blue line. The other thing is, so sometimes you could buy the original art, pure pencils, or the blue line inks, or some people like to buy both. The blue line purpose barbarian kung fu is twofold. One, the most important reason is expediency. I mean, it's really just getting the ink or the art quicker so that they can ink it far quicker so that they can meet their deadlines. Sometimes a penciler may send something pages and the inker didn't ink it in a way either of them are happy with. So then he'll reprint out the pencils and blue line ink those. That actually happened on a page that John Diaz bought where for some reason, I think like a page got left out and the page was missing when it got shipped. And so Scott Hanna had to print out the John Romita Jr. pencils and blue line inked it. And then Creative Keep ended up buying both. And he got a great deal. He's a great guy. So that was easy to give him a great deal. He actually ended up getting the pencils and the blue line for less than I had initially offered the pencils. But it's Creative Keep. So
there you go. All right. I got another question for you. So if somebody wants to invest in original artwork and they're looking to it as an investment, what type should they look for? What artwork is the more desirable stuff to look for? As far as, I mean, there's tons of it out there, okay, but what should you invest in? What, obviously the other day, a couple weeks ago, you had the first appearance of Spider-Boy, the original artwork. That would be something you'd want, because that's the original drawing of that character and stuff. Is it really kind of the same way how comic books are, as far as like what you invest in comic books for, the same way for the artwork?
Well, this is what I always say. Buy what you love. Never worry about keeping up with the Joneses. If you buy what you love, no matter what, you're richer for it. I have rarely bought art because it will go up in value. Rarely. I'm not saying I haven't, but I've rarely bought it for that reason. And I've bought art. I'll give you a quick story. I was asked, is there any art that I'll never sell? There is quite a bit of art that I'll never sell. I actually have all of Crisis on Infinite Earths #8, all 25 interior pages. And that is my ultimate comic. And that is my holy grail. And I've said this before, I could stop collecting. I'm happy. I've got that. I've got Wallywood Daredevil thumbnails from issue 7 with Daredevil and Submariner. I always say if somebody wants to put a hit out on me, they can then buy all these pages from my nephews because they get them in my will. So they will be, I'm not going to have them buried with me like some people say they will, but they will be available because my nephews will then be able to make money. So if I have a heart attack or you put a hit out on me, but all kidding aside, and I am kidding, please don't do that. If you buy what you love, you'll always be fine because that's all that matters. And like on Crisis, it's funny when I waited 16 years for Jerry Ordway to be willing to sell it. And Jerry, nicest guy in the world, remembered I really wanted it, approached me, and he said to me, I'd like to get at least this much money. This was like 2015, And he said, I'd like to get at least this much money because I was offered this much 10 years ago. And I said, Jerry, let me tell you this. You're going to love my offer. I've got 4 options for you. My lowest offer is more than what you just said. I said, here's my A offer. It's a fair offer, but it's more fair to me than to you. Here's my B offer. It's equally fair. Here's my C offer. It's fair, but it's more fair to you than for me. And here's my D offer, which is, I don't care. I really want this. And I was willing to way overpay just to get it. And I felt like Jerry, remembering for 16 years how much I wanted it, that I should make the best offer. And Jerry, being the nice guy that he is, he said, well, Nick, if you wouldn't mind, I'll take the C offer. I'll take the offer that's fair, but a little bit fair to me. I said, Jerry, not only do I not mind, that's why I put it out there. It's your call. What I'll tell you is I thought I was going to make this a short story. I'll still try and keep it shorter than it really is. Um, we had resolved this around Halloween, but he didn't want to sell it till the next year because he didn't, he wanted to take the income the following year. So I'm like a nervous little kid. So like I emailed him like right before Thanksgiving saying, hey, I could come up right before Christmas, post date the check. He's like, no, my kids are home from college. I said, oh, I could come over after Christmas. He's like, well, I'll probably be cleaning. Why don't we do it the Saturday after New Year's? And I'm like, right? Like, I'm like, the night before, I get an email from Jerry. It says, look, we're getting a snowstorm, at least 6 inches. Maybe we should postpone this. And I'm thinking to myself, I got to go to the UK next Wednesday. If I die in a plane crash and I don't have these pages, I'm going to be really upset. So I emailed him right back and said, Jerry, no problem. I'll be there tomorrow. Now, I was supposed to be there at 12, but the snowstorm was so bad. Once I got to his street, it took 45 minutes to go a little bit over 2 miles because he was in the backwoods. I finally got there, and I was calling him, and he didn't pick up. And he had turned the ringer off because he had family over, and he was cleaning the house, and he didn't even realize what time it was. And when I got there, he was so nice. He brought me in. He let me look at some of his art collection. We talked. And do you ever say something and you're watching the words come out of your mouth and you're like, let me put those. Have you ever done that?
Yeah.
So I asked him, so what made you decide to sell the art? I'm like, what the hell are you saying? Why would you ask? I'm like trying to put those words back in my mouth. And he said, look, obviously you can do whatever you want with it. It's your art now. But I feel like it's going to a good home and somebody who will appreciate it. And I've got my kids in college and I've owned it for, at that point, 2015, 30 years. He had it for 30 years. He said, it was finally time to let it go. And he was just happy it was going to a good home. And I saw him in Baltimore Comic-Con. And I told him I'd pull out the art and look at it once or twice a month. I love it that much. I cannot believe I own Crisis on Infinite Earths is my favorite all-time comic, period. Yeah. And Crisis number 8 is the ultimate for me. But you also got to be realistic in life, So this is how I found out Jerry had the art. So it's like 1997, I think, right? DC put out their first absolute edition, Crisis on Infinite Earths. Marv Wolfman, George Perez, Alex Ross flew in one day for signing. And a couple of days later, Jerry and Mike DiCarlo and Dick Giordano lived in Connecticut. They couldn't come down the same day Marv, George, and Alex came down, but they came down a few days later. And I'm saying to George and to Marv, look, I'm not just saying this to kiss your butt. Crisis is my all-time favorite comic. I hated you for killing the Flash, but he died so valiantly. Dude, I get goosebumps every time I tell this story. I said, Supergirl in issue 7 died a typical hero's death. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but saving Kal-El, taking the brunt of that blast, she dies instead. But Barry was alone on Quard, fighting, being manipulated by the psycho pirate. I'm not kidding. I get goosebumps every time. So Marv is laughing. George has got a smile. And George is about to say something. And Marv grabs George's arm and goes, Nick, you should tell Jerry that story in a few days. I'm like, I have no problem telling Jerry that story. I tell Jerry that story. Jerry's like got this nice pencil look. Dick Giordano stoic. Like Alex didn't even know what was going on 2 days earlier. And finally, and Mike DiCarlo's cracking up. Finally, Dick Giordano gives Jerry a tap with his foot. He goes, tell the kid. And Jerry tells me that, usually a penciler gets 2/3 of an issue. The inker gets 1/3. But since Crisis number 7 was double sized, George kept number 7 and Jerry kept number 8. My jaw hit the ground like you wouldn't believe. But he said, look, if I ever sell it, I'll give you a page as a gift. You're the biggest Flash fan I know. So, but and so wow, this conversation went longer than it should have, didn't it?
Well, Nick, I know you have tons of stories, so I always like to hear. So, I mean, it's because it's always like, oh, yeah, I'm hanging out with Alex Ross and all these guys. That's no big deal. So you're hanging out with legends of the industry. I mean, you're one of them, to be honest with you, with
Thank
everything
you.
you've done and everything. So it's kind of cool. But I think we can all appreciate your stories. But I do have other questions.
Yeah, go.
Okay. Now, are all of the sheets about the same size as far as the original art sheets?
So since the late 60s, early 70s, but I think the late 60s, artwork has come down to this size.
Okay.
Now, there is the artwork from the early 60s and from the mid 60s and earlier, artwork was far bigger than this. It's golden age, so it was more like this and this. Mainly because it was better for the printers to, I don't fully understand it, but it made the reproduction easier, and it was easier, I think, to a degree for artists to draw bigger. You could put more detail in it back then, and for the printer to get it. Now, golden age artwork, this is going to kill you. You ready for this? Up until the early 60s, the late 50s,
Mm-hmm.
they used to cut the golden age artwork in 3 and throw it out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. People had to sneak out the artwork to keep it.
Do you have any
killer,
of that?
Isn't it?
Do you have any of that in your collection?
I have one golden age Alan Scott third of a page.
Nice. This is a good question right here. Any other Holy Grail art you'd snap up if it came in the market?
I'm very fortunate that I have art that I love and treasure where I don't feel like there are too many holy grails left that I have to get, especially with the value of art these days. It goes back to, don't try and keep up with the Joneses. Appreciate what other people have, but don't be jealous.
Yeah.
The worst thing you could do is be jealous. You will not be a happy collector. I had the opportunity to buy the cover to Crisis on Infinite Earths #8. And when I say I had the opportunity, I'm not sure if it was a slim opportunity or a good opportunity, but I knew the person who had it. This was before anybody knew I had all of the interior pages. I emailed him, asked him if he would consider selling it and what he would value it at. And he said, I'd consider selling it, start at 6 figures, but don't say $100,000 because we'll stop talking. And I thought about that for a minute. I thought about that for a few minutes. And I said, I don't know if this is a situation where there is a price, but I don't think there's a price that he may just want to see how much he could get for it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to emotionally vest myself like this. So I politely responded with, this is higher than my comfort range. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. I lost her for a sec. That was weird. I said, this is higher than my comfort range, and I appreciate your time. Because I felt like I don't want to say it was a game, but I don't know. It just didn't feel right. And I'm happy that I have 25 pages to issue 8. I have 25 pages to issue 8. I have all 25 strips to issue 10 of the monitor tapes. I'm blessed. I have thumbnails to Daredevil #7 by Wally Wood with Submariner and Daredevil. I have a lot of Joe Quesada Daredevil art. I've got the cover. I guess the last real grail, and paying it forward really does work. There is a little bit of a blessing in life when you can pay something forward. the cover to Submariner 67 came up in auction. And I love that cover. That's, Submariner in the disco black cover, the leather black cover. So I was going to go after it. And a friend of mine said, because Subby's one of my two favorite Marvel characters, Submariner and Daredevil. And a friend of mine said, look, our buddy Glenn, my one buddy, Will, comic art, he sells original art. And my friend Glenn, Panel Page Art, sells original art. And Will said, you might want to talk to Glenn. He's really going to go after it hard. And for you two to duke it out. So I contacted Glenn, and Glenn and I spoke. Am I frozen? Am I frozen?
It's a little choppy, but you're working through it.
Okay. So Glenn said, look, I remember buying the comic off the rack. It's one of my favorite comics. I really want to go for it. And I could hear it in his voice how much it meant to him. So even though I've got the Submariner statue in the black costume, I've got the action figure, I've got comic, I've got the reprints, but I could feel like it meant a little bit more to him. And he said, look, I've got the cover to 68, the second issue. I'll give it to you at a discount. So I bought it from him. I'm like, okay, can't get 67. I'll take 68, right? So he said, there's one other thing I'm going after in the auction. If I get that, it's the only thing I want more than this. If I get that, I'll let you know that I'm not going for this. And he bought a complete Captain America by Jack Kirby, the complete issue. Wow. It was an incredible amount of money. So he called me. He's like, if you want to go for it, go for it. I was like, oh, my God. So now I have 67 and 68.
Wow.
So, I mean, and I was willing to sacrifice it because he really wanted it. So I think being kind, paying it forward, it helps. Not always. But, yeah, I mean, as far as Grails are concerned, I've got the complete Atom #1 from 1962 by or was it 61, 60? I can't even remember. By Gil Kane and Murphy Anderson. And it's funny, there's a little thing at the bottom where Gil wrote to Murphy, Dear Murphy, I just wish Julie would have given you something better that I drew for you to ink. And I'm like, and meanwhile, I'm like, I got 25 Silver Age pages of the Atom. I've got the complete story. It's like, it's just so trippy to think about that. So, yeah, like I said, just everybody should be happy with what they have, what they can get. And if you buy what you love, you will always be happy. Thanks, Comic Journey. So, yeah, I mean, look, it's the same way with anything. I mean, if you're always jealous of what other people have, how can you be happy with what you have?
Now, you mentioned this, and this was actually my last question, but you mentioned this a couple times. And I think you have one behind you. Are covers more desirable? Is that the cover behind you for the latest issue of Spider-Man?
Yeah.
And so are covers more desirable in the original art market?
Almost always.
Okay.
Almost always. I mean, look, I think with Captain America 25, the page of Captain America actually being shot and killed is probably worth more than the cover. There may be some pages in Civil War where the interiors might be worth more than the cover. There are key pages that could be worth more than the cover, but almost always the covers are more. What would be your suggestion securing an original Kirby Marvel Hero piece? Heritage? Heritage is good. Comic Link tomorrow night ends. If you go to comiclink.com or if you go to Comic Art Fans, you can do a search and under dealers and classifieds, and you can find some art for sale there. So I would say do your due diligence, go to the dealer websites. Comic Art Fans has all the dealer websites. You could go to, as I said, Comic Art Page, Will Gabrielle, Panel Page Art with Glenn Brunswick, Ramita Man with Mike Berkey. You've got who else? You've got Anthony Snyder, Anthony's Comic Art. You've got Nostalgic Investments, Bishara. There's a bunch of places that you can go. You can check out the prices. There are a few dealers that don't put prices on their art. They make it a little difficult to interact with them. So, buyer beware. But Heritage is great. All the auction houses are great. Comic Connect just ended last night. But yeah, I mean, Comic Link tomorrow has some nice Kirby pages. They have an Avengers #3 page, which I was interested in until I saw what price it's at now. So, and I've got a page from Avengers #3. So I've got a page with the Hulk and Submariner talking about taking each other out, how they're going to, fight the Avengers and then and then get rid of the other. Which to me is a great page. The page that they have in Comic Link is the page where Hulk shows up where Submariner is, and Submariner thinks he's going to recruit him, and Hulk wants to punch him and start a fight. So yeah, that's where that's at. John Stout, John Spilios in the house. So yeah, so I'll show some of this real quick.
Yeah,
like I said, spoiler alert. Miss Marvel dies. This is where Miss Marvel gets hired at Oscorp. Here's the Golden Goblin, Miss Marvel, Spider-Man getting ready to fight Raven. Here's Raven showing up, wanting to kill Mary Jane. That's his thing. Spoiler, he wants to kill Mary Jane. Got some great battle pages here. And look, we're bringing those pages at under $200 and under $100. Most of these are going to be over $1,000, but it's because it's to an important issue. And spoiler, Phil's kids disappear. Mary Jane has powers. Spoiler. So, although I'm about to get to my favorite page in the book, believe it or not, spoiler, Miss Marvel saves Mary Jane not once, not twice, but 3 times. The book's been out a week. Come on, you had to have read it by now. Yeah. Here, this is my favorite page. Fastball special. You got Human Torch and Thing doing a fastball special a la Wolverine and Colossus. You got Human Torch revving up right there, building the heat wave, popping the Thing to save the Golden Goblin. And then you start to get to the real drama in the story. You've got Miss Marvel saving Mary Jane. And you've got Raven stabbing Mary Jane to get her power. But, spoiler, you find out it's not Mary Jane. Miss Marvel switched and morphed into Mary Jane, and you find out, and Raven dies, and you find out that it was Miss Marvel who died. And here's the big page.
There you go.
And this is an homage to Amazing Spider-Man 121 when Gwen Stacy died. Yeah. It's not exactly the same, but it's the same theme. So, yeah, it's going to be a fun show on Friday.
Yeah, so let me put the link up there real fast. Like I said, it's pinned in the comment section. It's actually in the description of the video as well. But, Nick, I just kind of wanted to bring you on here so you could share your insights. Like I said, this is all new to me. I know I have some friends asking about this. You're doing a show every week with artwork. Like you said, sometimes you sell it. Sometimes you just sit there and talk about it, and discuss it. And I think it's really cool because I've thumbed through my friend's collection in Portland. I thought it was pretty amazing. And just to get a chance to see this stuff and kind of answer some of the questions. I think there's more to cover on this topic, but the basic questions that I think people ask, I think that's kind of what I try to get to. That way we can cover those responses. But Nick, one last question for you. Okay.
Yeah.
How much is the original art piece worth of my cover for Red Sonja versus Mars Attacks? And where is it?
I think Dan Jurgens still has it.
Oh, okay.
And I'd say anywhere between $4,000 and $7,000.
Yeah, there you go. That's awesome.
It's a little bit of a wide range, and
Yeah.
I don't know how much the Mars Attacks adds to it because I don't know what that market fully is. But a Red Sonja cover, I can't. You know what? I would say even 5,000 to 7,000
And
because
there's another guy on there. There's a first appearance of someone on
there
there.
is a first appearance. That's right. It's an origin page.
Yeah. Okay, that's pretty cool. Yeah. Well, maybe I'll save some money and pick it up someday.
Well, again, and you have the comics at least, right?
Yes, I do. So very cool. Well, Nick, anything else you want to say before we get going?
No,
You're a busy man.
Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, but also sign up for the experience, period. Please, we have comic collectible shows. Tomorrow at 6 o'clock with Rex and John. We have in stores this week. We have interview shows. Jen King this past Monday interviewed Chip Mosher and David Steinberger of Distillery. You know, we're the experience is here to promote the comics market. The fact that I get to talk and sell art is just such a nice little part of it that is really, really rewarding, especially the fact that people stop by to actually chat. It's one of my favorite things to do every week, and it's my favorite way to end the week.
Awesome. Well, real quick before we go, I just want to say thank you to Nick about something real fast. You know what? Nick and Dynamite have really embraced the comic book YouTube community and members, and we work together and stuff like that. And really, as far as I know, they're really the only publisher that really has embraced it like they have. And I just want to say, on behalf of us, the YouTubers who have been out there talking about comics for the last few years, thank you so much for the recognition. Thank you.
My pleasure, man. Listen, here's the thing. You guys are great ambassadors. I want to embrace the people. I've been selling comics since I was 12 or 13 years old. I've been doing this 41, 42, 43 years at this. No, 41 or 42 years. And I don't see myself doing anything else. I got out of comics part-time for 2 years and actually missed it. When I was in college, I was a weekend warrior and I wanted weekends off to have fun with my friends, and I missed comics. So for me, there's Robbie, AR, Jed Mint, Comic Tom, Near Mint with Omar, Mint Hunter Comics with James, 360 Comics, your comic dude. So many people that are great, great, great ambassadors for our industry. I want to support you when I can. There's enough negativity in the world, enough negativity even in our industry, not enough understanding. The fact that you guys are always positive voices who talk about comics in a positive way, you help grow the market just a little bit at a time every day. And to me, that's priceless.
Very cool. Awesome to hear that. Thank you so much, sir. I very much appreciate it. Appreciate your time. Like we said before, everyone go check out the experience. The link is in the chat, also in the description of the video. Nick, enjoy your next few days. Tomorrow's New Comic Book Day. What comes out tomorrow for Dynamite?
Tomorrow is Maleficent #2 and Purgatory #5.
There you go. Sounds good. All right, go get Maleficent and Purgatory tomorrow at your LCS and all the other good Dynamite stuff.
And all the other comics. Visit your LCS and pick something up. And if something is not out that you want, pick up some back issues. Support them as much as you can.
And the new King Kong one, I love it. I read it, thought it was awesome. So I'm on board. All right, everyone.
Very lucky.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget to live your best life. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Take care, everybody.